Welcome to another episode of The Creator's Outlet, episode 155. Brought to you by our friends over at the Inked Marketing Team. If you need a little extra help getting your Indiegogo or Kickstarter past the finish line, contact Gillette over at Inked Marketing at www.inked.marketing today. And we welcome Mike Gonzalez from Book of Legend on Kickstarter.
What's up, everybody? Hey, Will. How you doing?
Good. So why don't you introduce yourself to everybody and tell us a little bit about your background and getting into comics?
Well, my name is Michael T. Gonzalez. I have a website called rainyroadmedia.com if you want to check that out. I grew up reading comic books. I'm a child of the 80s. Grew up reading comic books, loved comic books, always wanted to get into comics, like writing them, because I remember reading about like how Jim Shooter was supposedly started writing for, I think, DC when he was like 13 years old or something.
Yep.
So that stuck in my head, and I was like, well, if he can do it, I can do it. So I had this idea of like, yeah, maybe I could do it. And so basically I've been trying ever since, off and on. Sometimes there's been some times where I kind of gave up on it, but I wanted to give another shot. I think this was back in 2013. I was living in China, and I had heard about how easier it was to get into comics because of things like Comixology, or with the internet, you could find artists and other people from all over the world, and you could put a book together, and then you could put it out on the internet, and people could see it. And, it was free. You didn't necessarily have to go through a publisher. So once I, investigated that a little bit more, I decided, well, let's just give this one more try. And so I did one book called 6/8. I'm going to show you that here. We just did a Kickstarter to fund printing this book. And the Kickstarter ran in April, May. And the book was printed just 2 weeks ago, so everybody should have the book already by now. I had also, when I did that, my original plan was that I was going to make books and put them on the digital platforms because it didn't cost that much money, so I could save the money on printing. So what I would do is build up a collection of material, different series or just individual issues and stuff like that, and then sort of try to build an audience, and then later could use that to, have a fan base that would fund printing of the books. And so that's basically what I've been doing over the last, since like 2015, is with that book, that 6/8. That was the first one I did. I put it up on Comixology. I did this one. This is called Neotheric. I did original 4 issues of this and put them on Comixology. And I tried to run an Indiegogo to fund printing the 4 issues in this graphic novel, but that failed. And so I just decided, I got from my tax return. So I'll just go ahead and print some, and then see what I can do with them. Maybe go to conventions and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So this book is also printed. I have, I think I have about like 70 something copies left of that. And then also in that time, I had found Mark Millar's website, and he had a pretty robust writers forum on there where people would go on, and we would. They would have like these little contests basically where they would throw out an idea, and then you would write it, write based on their thesis or whatever. And then they would judge who they thought was the best. And so when I became familiar with him and like how he got started, and people like Alan Moore and all these British guys, they got started with short stories, which were called Future Shocks in 2000 AD. So I started to get this idea. So, well, maybe I should try that too, is like trying to write a bunch of short stories, and hone my skills as a writer doing that. So I came up with a bunch of short stories that in the tradition of the Future Shocks, and I put those into a digital anthology. It was called Ashcan Anthology. It was just in black and white. That's on Comixology and the Comic House website. The app as well, like right now. And then I did a second one, which was 5 stories, and it's kind of focused more on characters and sort of the hero's journey, all that mythology about a hero's, and it takes different heroes from different eras or different genres. And that book was Ashcan Anthology #2, and again, that was also in black and white. And then I happened to meet a guy on Twitter who's goes by the name of Ace Wheelie, and he offered to do the coloring for all of them at a much lower rate than he normally would, because he really liked the stories, and he liked the idea of putting them together into one book. So he helped me out and then also all of them are colored, and so now I'm just trying to fund printing the book in full color. And that's what this upcoming Kickstarter is going to be about. It launches tomorrow. I'll probably launch it around this time tomorrow night. And that's going to be just basically just the fun printing, a short print run. And hopefully it'll be successful. It'll be the next step. And then we're going to have another project after that and another after that. And so, keep this ball rolling, and hopefully.
And this is the the military style short stories based after what you liked in the old 2000 AD books.
Yeah, well, like in the Future Shocks are all sci-fi stories. They're no more than 4 pages, sci-fi stories with an ironic twist. So all the first 4 stories that you'll see are just like that. They're all sci-fi, and they're all 4 pages, and they all have this ironic twist at the end. The next 5 stories that you see are like I was saying, they're just kind of they're more focused on characters. Sorry about that, it's my stupid phone. So they're kind of what the idea is, like if people read this and they like these specific characters, they could possibly spin off into like a series or like a one-shot book just for themselves. So that's kind of what I wanted to do, is to try to develop like some more unique characters, but with the through line being that it's about the hero's journey kind of thing. And those are varied. There's some sci-fi stories. There's like a pulp crime story. There's like a futuristic, like a Blade Runner kind of type of sort of feel to it. There's like this girl who's like a ninja. There's all kinds of stuff in there, and there's different artists from all over the place. They got different styles, a lot of different things for people to take a look at and see if it's something they like.
Have you thought about putting on add-ons on the campaign for books like your graphic novel with the 4 issues in it, where people can
those are on there.
You're gonna be able to add that on and
yes,
and pick up more stuff from you.
Yeah.
I always like to get the big package in the mail with like lots of books, and I got a couple packages today that I was thrilled with. I've become an indie comic book junkie.
Yeah.
I've been selling my older mainstream comics.
Yeah.
And flipping the money back to, I'm selling my comics to buy more comics.
Yeah.
It's a never ending cycle. I got one in from the UK today, and another one that was local stateside with a whole bunch of extras and some really cool stuff. Because I tend to, once I've contributed to a campaign, I look to see how the campaign's doing, but I won't go through and look back at the stretch goals, because I want to be surprised by stuff in the box.
Yeah.
So and a lot of times I'll just forget. I got like 3 surveys in my email today, and I'm like, oh, I forgot about that one. Cool.
Yeah.
So
yeah, there's definitely add-ons because I got all those books there. I still have copies of those books, so those are all. I'll have add-ons for all those, and I had some variant covers for the 6/8. It's a horror book. There's only like a handful because I only printed like 15 copies of the variants, and some of them were damaged by the printer, and some have obviously already been sold. So I only have like 5 of each one of the variants. So it's super limited supply. But there will be the Neotheric graphic novel. There will be the 6/8 horror book. I've got. If I don't know if you see this, this is a metal print by J.C. Grande. He did this for the 6/8 horror book, and
oh man, that's rad.
I still have some of these, and obviously I could get more of them. That'll be as an add-on. You can get that too. I'll have. Oh no, not the add. What else do I have to add on? So basically, what I'm trying to do is like keep the campaign fairly simple. I don't have a whole bunch of stuff that I can offer because this book was done a long time ago. It was done like 3 or 4 years ago, and so many different artists. And I'm not an artist myself, so I can't just like, hey, I'll drop something nice for people and send it out. So basically, what I'm trying to do is like, so you can get if for international people. People that like PDFs, you can get a PDF version of it for only $5. You can get a copy of the book, just the book, for $15. It's 52 pages, and that includes shipping to the USA.
Oh, so that's a great price.
Yeah, so there's no extra for shipping. Then I'll have what I've come up with. Sort of the strategy I've come up with is to offer these kind of tiers where there's a digital, so super cheap. And then there's a very basic version, just the book, and then there'll be what I call a super fan. So that's like everything that I could offer. It will be packaged into one thing. So you have the book, you have the PDF. I've got these. I printed out. These are characters from the different stories, like this. These little character stickers, and you'll get all 8 of these, and I also thought of doing this, which is on the backing board that comes with the book. I'll print out this. This is like, it has the character art and it has sort of like a backstory and an more explanation into what's going on in the story. And this stuff is not anywhere else. It's not in the book. I don't have it anywhere else. So like this is like an extra special little thing to just kind of make that a little more special. And
cool.
So there's going to be 5 different versions. So if you just order like one of the book, then you get just one randomly, but you can add on, 4 more copies of the book, and then you'll get all 5 of them. And then also in the Superfan is I'll have like another one of these metal bookmarks. It's not nice. This one. This is for the horror book, but just as a sample. So it will be the actual cover from the book. So it'll just be a metal card of the cover from the book, which is by Erwin Arosa. And I think it looks awesome. Hello, Doris. So I'll just keep it like that. But then, like we were talking about before, there'll be add-ons. Like you can get the Neotheric book, you can get the 6/8 book, and you can get that metal print by J.C. Grande. And so it's not glaring. If there's other stuff I could think of, like during the campaign, or people come and say, hey, maybe you should do this or that. Obviously I can add different things to it. Mm-hmm. But again, for right now, I'm just trying to, because this is just my second Kickstarter campaign, so I'm trying to keep things simple, and so that I can be able to fulfill on time, and everything goes smoothly. And just as I keep going with future projects, I'll get bigger, build up more, have more things to offer people and stuff like that.
Are you going to be putting or have you put a retailer tier in?
No, I haven't done that yet. I actually talked to yesterday. You had Will on from Heel Turn. I
Yeah.
talked to him about, because I know he was. I don't know if he's added it yet, but he was talking to me about thinking about adding it on. He showed me.
He put it on because I was talking about it. He did like a super deep discount, and he did it so if a store orders 21 copies or more, they'll even print the store logo on the book for them.
Yeah, yeah. I have to think about that. See how I can do that, as long as it doesn't like overcomplicate things, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like I said, again, I'm just trying to keep things fairly simple, and I don't want to mess up anything. I don't want to like not be able to fulfill something, like promise people something and not actually be able to deliver. That's why, like, with like these stickers and things, I like to have them done, like have samples in my hand before I even launch the campaign, so I know that they're good, that I have them, everything looks right, and then I'll be able to, actually get them to people when they order them. So
yeah, a good guy to talk to about the retailer tier would be William Samuel Quinton. He runs Sinopa Publishing.
okay.
He does a book called 47 Furious Tales.
Yeah.
And you can find him in the madness. I'll tag him and have him find you. So
Okay.
you guys can hook up, and he's a good person to answer any questions he's had. Like he had a failure too, and he got back on the horse, and he's been doing pretty good. So he's
Yeah.
getting ready to launch it, like his third book, and he does lots of prior to getting into comics. He also has a long line of like RPG games, stuff that goes with like the 5e of the D&D,
Yeah.
and he's been doing that for years. So
Okay. Yeah. Cool. I appreciate it.
he might know a couple of tricks.
Yeah. I need all the help I can get. I'm sort of, trying to learn, winging it for right now. But, I get lots of tips from like Pops. He's given me some things. RJ, he's given me some tips. And like originally when I did the horror book, he's the one that suggested to me to add on that Neotheric graphic novel because I didn't have it on there. And I didn't think that why would somebody who want a horror comic want that book? Why would they be interested in that book? It just like, it didn't seem like anybody would go for it. But I sold 6 freaking copies of it. So
Well, you'll always find somebody to be like, you got their attention with one book, and then you've got something else that's different that you did, and they're like, cool, I'll check it out. And trade paperbacks, graphic novels are the number one seller in Western comic book stuff.
yeah,
It's the binge society. So everybody wants to sit down. We don't want to wait week to week to see the new episode of Mandalorian. We want to sit down. We want to watch it all in one day.
yeah,
I did that with Picard. I know. And reading is no different. If they can pick up a trade and read an entire series, whether it's 4, 6, or 8 issues, or like at least a complete story arc of a book, they're more likely to pick up a trade for like $15 or $20 and get the whole story than they might be to buy one floppy at a time.
yeah,
And it's weird because I remember getting trades in because I've worked at comic shops on and off for years, and I remember getting them in. We'd have them full, and once in a while, every like 6 months, he'd run a sale, buy one get one half off. Whatever the most expensive price was, you'd pay for that and get the other one half price, and you'd get a lot of people picking up like 2 or 3 books, or if somebody hasn't been into comics or hasn't read anything in a while, they'll usually direct them to like a trade of a character that, they might not have read anything recent on, to be able to pick up like, a big chunk for a little less money than all the individual issues.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I do that too. It's like there was a book Image was putting out called Rumble. I don't know if you ever heard of it. It had like this guy with this big ass sword, and he kind of looked like a scarecrow, and I don't know, something about him. He was like an ancient god or something, but in like modern times or something. And I thought it was really cool. I mean, I like the aesthetics of it, but then I look at, if you get the trade was only like maybe $12, but it had 6 issues. So if you bought those 6 issues for like $4 a piece, $4 or $5, that's like $25. So if you just wait for the trade, you save $10 freaking dollars at least.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like, to me, and I look at it, I was like, this makes no sense. Why would I follow? But but also from the other side, as a creator, I can understand from their point of view. It's like, well, if you don't buy the single issues, then there's never going to be a trade. And so it's the comic books that is, the whole industry is just weird. Kind of a lot of things just don't make sense.
It's like everything. There's, waves of popularity sweep through, any hobby. And you have two main kinds of comic book people. You have the readers and you have the collectors. Now, the readers collect as well.
Yeah.
But the collectors collect, and there's such a huge market of collectors that will buy and get their books graded right away before they even read it. They'll go and get like a number 1 from somebody they like graded, and then they'll go and buy the digital copy and sit there and read the digital.
Yeah.
I'm like, why? I'm like, why would you do that to yourself? It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, I've read digital and I read digital. Matter of fact, I bought a tablet so I could read digital. But I've got to read books for Outright Geekery to review. I've got to read books for another podcast I do on Thursday nights. We read a book or a graphic novel every week, and then we go through it page by page.
Yeah.
Older books though, so it's all back issue stuff.
Yeah.
Gold, silver, and bronze. And of course, that's got the best name of any podcast I've run across so far. It's the OK Boomer podcast. See, I told you. Now you're going to remember that.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, that's an easy one to remember.
So, but there, readers collect, but they also want to sit there and read. The straight collectors, a lot of them nowadays, don't just want to build the collection. They're in it for the money. They get their books graded, and if that book gets hot, boom, they run like right to eBay or Facebook sales and groups, and if the book is hot, they'll flip it, take the money and run and on to the next thing.
Yeah.
I've been collecting forever, but they take up so much room. Even with the books that I've gotten rid of so far, I still have about 150 comic book boxes.
Holy.
Yeah.
That's quite a bit more than I ever had.
I have issues. Many.
Literally.
I have plenty of issues.
Yeah,
So,
to me, it's kind of yes, strange to me too, because like when I first got into comics, I would read a comic and then throw it behind the bed or something. So it was just fun, to read it and have the adventure and everything. It didn't mean anything beyond that. It wasn't until like my brother had a friend who he showed us like, oh, you gotta put it in a bag, and then you put the bag in a box because later it might be worth something. And when I was a kid and you didn't have a lot of money, the idea that if you could buy something for like 50 cents and then like 2 weeks later or a month later it's worth $5, you're like, holy crap! I could just won the lottery. This is like a great scheme, and all this kind of stuff. So that's when we started getting into like sort of the collecting aspect of it. And I got, I never put anything in a slab. To me, that's kind of strange. But, it did get into where like we try to, especially, in the 90s when the whole boom came about with McFarlane and Liefeld and all of them, I got like, every version of the X-Men #1 with Jim Lee.
oh yeah.
I got every version of the cover for that. I got like all of the Image #1 comics, all of that stuff, and thinking like, oh yeah, this is going to be worth something, and at one time I had all of Todd McFarlane's comics, every single one that he ever worked on, except for that Coyote book. I think it was like the very first ones he did for like Epic or something.
Yeah.
Those are the only ones I didn't have.
Those pretty much almost the only ones I still have.
but I had everything all the way back to like Infinity Incorporated. I think was his first stuff for DC. I had everything, but then I had to sell it to when I was going to school, try to pay my bills and stuff. So, I killed myself. I should have just kept all that stuff. But
well, it helped. It helped you get through college and stuff. It was worth it. Friend of mine, Doug, is from New York. He retired, and him and his wife bought a nice chunk of land up in Maine, and he would show off some of his comics, and I would just be tearing up and like trying to reach through the screen, and a lot of them. Slabbing a book makes sense to me if it's like an old golden or silver age book.
Yeah.
Especially if it's a key book, even if it's a key book from like, bronze or copper age. If it's a key book and it's like, worth big money, then you get the book slabbed just to prove it's got a, it's got a grade. But that's kind of a scam too, because no two people are going to grade a book the exact same way, even, with that company's, strict guideline of if it's got this, this, and this, you take off these points, and these points, and, back and forth like that. No two people do something the same, but, it caught on and people went nuts. Most people went nuts because, they did the new math in their head and figured out that, hey, if I grade a book, it's worth an extra $100. It only cost you $30. But now all these companies, when you grade a book, they charge you 10% of fair market value of that book to grade it on top of the money you pay them to grade it.
Jeez.
A friend of mine thinks it might have something to do with their insurance in case something happens to it.
Yeah.
For compensation. And I'm like, doesn't matter. It's not their book. Why are they getting a cut? It's like you're paying them almost $50 to grade it and throw it in a plastic tube. Plus you're paying for shipping there, and then you pay for shipping back. Yeah. And it just doesn't make sense to me.
That's why I have Mylars.
Yeah.
Mylars are just as good. Especially, like, I sent all of those, that 6/8 horror book, I send them all out in 4mm Mylars. And those things are stiff as hell. But I mean, they're good, you know. I think they look awesome. I'd rather have that than a slab, because then you can at least take it out if you want to and take a look at the book.
Well, since those are going to be available add-ons on this campaign when it launches tomorrow, why don't you tell us more about 6-8?
Okay, so 6-8 is a supernatural horror comic it's about a random act of violence with supernatural consequences. So basically, it is like The Crow meets Twin Peaks. It's uh, a guy is on his way home from work and he's mugged by these two drug addicts, and he's stabbed and he's dying, and they find his wallet in his briefcase and with it has his address, and they're looking for score some money for some dope, and he doesn't have any money on him, so they say, okay, let's go to this guy's house and get something, and he's dying, so he can't really do anything about it, but you know, in his dying moments, he's sort of like praying that something can happen for some divine intervention, and somebody answers his prayer, but it's not God, it's the devil, and the devil gives him the power of death to protect his family from these two thugs. So, and I won't spoil the whole story, but that's the basic setup for it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a non-linear story. The scenes jump around a little bit and it's not like a gimmick. There's a real reason why the sequence is told in the way that it is. So I just ask if people read it, and then you'll find out why. Um, so yeah, it's just it was originally meant to be a one shot, but as I thought about it, I think there's a lot more that I could do with these characters in this universe. So I've already written the first 2 issues of the next 4 issues, and I just need to find an artist to pick this up and work with it. And I'm trying to. I'm thinking about launching a Kickstarter for that, maybe April of next year. And well, just to show you also on the back, this was in 2018. Charlie Adler chose this book as the 2018 Horror Comic of the Year on the Comics Central website.
Oh, cool.
The website doesn't exist anymore, but it was kind of like it's an independent comic version of Comixology, and they would have every year they would have these contests where they would take industry pros and they would select the books they thought were the best of a certain category, like superhero or horror in this case, and that year Charlie Adler chose that book as the horror comic of the year. So. And I think it came out really good. The printing is, I think, really excellent. And it's a 40-page book. Also, in this printed version, there is a 6-page epilogue that I added just for this version that sort of leads into the future chapters. Because, like I said, originally it was just supposed to be a one-shot story. But so now that I wanted to do more with it, I feel like I need to kind of set that up. So I added this epilogue, which was done by Emilio Utrera, and so this version of it, the printed version, has something that the digital version on Comixology does not have. So it's an exclusive version you can only get in the printed book.
Oh, cool. Yeah. And is it color or black and white?
No, this is full color.
Full color?
Everything is in
nice.
Full color. The artist Alan Burns, he's got like it's a very atmospheric sort of feel to it, and there's a lot of texture, a lot of layers. It's almost like a nightmare kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
I really dig the art, man.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
I think he did a really good job. And then I'll show you just this is part of the epilogue. This is what Amelia did, his art is they try to maintain the sort of feel for the
Yeah.
artwork from the original. So, and I like it because originally, like I had thought of it to be like the story would be sort of like a very gritty kind of realistic, um, like a Martin Scorsese kind of film. But when Alan did the art, he did it like this, where it's just like I don't know how to really describe this. Almost like you're in a dream, the way that he drew it, and I think that works perfectly for the story. So
Yeah,
I think it came out
more
really
like
good.
an uh, M Night Shyamalan movie there.
Yeah, the good ones,
The
which
good
there
one.
are only a few.
Yeah, there's only 2 or 3 good ones from there.
Yeah.
But make sure you guys go hit the link in the chat and sign up for this book. It is going to be live tomorrow around this time. It's going to kick off. It's a 52-page anthology, with sci-fi and character-driven stories that remind Michael of the old some of
Yeah.
the old shorts from 2000 AD.
Well, you see, like the guy right there on the image. That guy is kind of very much like Sergeant Rock, kind of inspired. He's a soldier in the Korean War,
Mm-hmm.
and that one. What happens in that story is during the Korean War, there's a rip in time and space, and then they go into a basically it's a parallel or mirror dimension where there's these aliens instead of humans, and so now he's fighting, basically they're fighting against the communists and against these aliens. So, and that character is kind of like I would say like a Sergeant Rock, Indiana Jones kind of type of character. Also one of the stories is sort of like a Greek mythology kind of thing, like Superman, all these kind of Wonder Woman, these classic Golden Age superheroes. We have a story like that. It's called Born from Above. Like I was saying before, we have like this story about this like ninja girl that's kind of very 90s sort of story with the hyper violence and all that kind of over the top sort of stuff. Have that kind of story. Um, and then at the last story is kind of like a pulp crime story, which is, maybe like Dick Tracy, sort of the shadow kind of feel to it, but it's not really about that guy. But that's sort of like the universe where the story takes place in. So there's a lot of different genres and feeling, to the different stories.
And tell us more about the trade you have a few available for an add-on.
Oh, this new etheric. Okay, I'll just show you that one. So this one, again, this is 92 pages. It collects the first 4 issues from that were only available digitally. I never printed these. I don't know why my stupid camera won't focus, but it was never. I never had the individuals in issues printed. The only printing is the trade paperback that collects all 4. So this story it's an absurd sci-fi comedy action adventure for mature audiences. It's basically like an 80s cartoon, but for adults. So what happens is that these dinosaurs, you have dinosaurs are used by aliens to as like biological terraformers. They
Mm-hmm.
terraform planets, and so some of these dinosaurs decided they don't want to be slaves anymore. They want to live free. So a small group of them escapes from the aliens, and they crash land on modern day Earth. And so the first 4 issues are just basically exploring the first 12 hours of when they crash on Earth and what happens. It's a small town in Wyoming, and the dinosaurs basically go wild. They eat people. They curse. They drink alcohol. They smoke. They do all kinds of, you know, asshole behavior. But
Oh, it's a dinosaur biker gang.
yeah, sort of. Well, I figured like if I'm gonna write, well, what I was thinking is I'm gonna write this story about dinosaurs, and when you think about some of the other things, other movies or TV shows or comic books that have dinosaurs, they're always like friendly to people. It's like they're like pets. And I was like, what the hell? Dinosaur would not act like that. These dinosaurs are savage animals, so that's how they act in this story. They're not always nice, and like I said, sometimes they eat people. But
well, a dude gets hungry once in a while.
Yeah. And so it has to deal with. So there's this. Let's see if I can find it. So there's this cosmic being who the aliens work for, and They call him Mr. G, and he's the one who tells them that they have to go find the dinosaurs and bring them back because there's an order to the universe. Everything has its place. The dinosaurs are supposed to be doing what they're supposed to be doing, and they violated, that edict. So they have to pay the punishment for that, and the aliens have to go get them, or they have to kill them. And so, well, this is like the part here where he talks about the little guy. This is Mr. G, and these are the aliens. He's telling them, like you got to go find these dinosaurs. You can't let this happen. So the story is basically just like all the chaos that results from these dinosaurs' action of escaping and coming to Earth. So you got to have National Guard shows up. Let me see if I can get this thing to focus. The National Guard shows up, and so they got to deal with them, and then the aliens recruit another cosmic being to go down and try to kill the dinosaurs, and so it's just a lot of chaos. And that's just the first 4 issues, and I've already finished the first draft of issue 5, and I've already talked to Andre, who is the artist who helped me finish off this series, and he's he's into it. He wants to keep going with it, and just to point out, like the first issue and a half the art was done by Dave Mims. He's done some work for Alterna Comics.
Yep.
But then I had to get another artist to finish it up, and I found Andre, and so he helped me finish up the last, like basically 2.5 or so issues. But like I said, he's ready to go for the next one, so I'll probably do a Kickstarter for that. Maybe also in April or something of next year. So we'll see how. I got a lot of stuff coming. There's also another project I want to do in September of this year with Ian Warriento. He did the line art for Mighty Mascots from Alterna Comics, and we're doing the six pages from the first issue of this series, which will probably be a 6-issue miniseries, and he's just about finished with those. So I'm probably gonna launch that in September, because with these books like Book of Legend and Neotheric and 6-8, I put my money. I invested my money, out of my own pocket to just get them made. Mm-hmm. But I'm kind of like at the point where I can't do that anymore. It's I'm just losing a lot of money, and our family money is kind of tight. So I'm gonna have to with the next project with Ian and with Neotheric and then 6-8 later is try to I'll produce like part of the issues, so just to show people that okay, it's like a proof of concept. We've got all of this done, got basically like half of it done, so we just need the money to finish it, and so that way people will have more confidence to back it and say, I might not be able to. It might not be done completely already, and I might not be able to get it to you like next month, but it may only be like 3 or 4 months. So hopefully, if I can keep building things up, keep building an audience and everything, then we can do that. But
yeah, so this launches tomorrow. You'll have a chance to do add-ons with the last 2 books that Michael talked about in the campaign. And this will be launching around 9 o'clock tomorrow night on Kickstarter. The link is in the chat. Michael, why don't you let everybody know where they can find and follow you online?
Okay, well, I'm not on Twitter anymore. I got rid of it. I just got tired of it. So I basically just use Facebook sometimes. You can do Rainy Road Comics on Facebook. I have the website, rainyroadmedia.com. And I put out a newsletter at least once a month with all kinds of behind the scenes artwork and details about all these upcoming projects. So, and it really helps to get a campaign started off to a good start. Like, that's why I'm grateful to you to be able to come on here and talk to people and show this to people, because if we can get this going from the get-go, a strong push, that really helps the campaign and in the long run. I learned that with the last campaign. So basically, it's the website and Facebook is where you can contact me or where you can see the stuff. I'm always putting stuff on Facebook and different groups and things like that. But like I said, I have the newsletter where I put a lot of the stuff in the newsletter. You can only find it in the newsletter. And again, that helps me to build this audience so that when we do launch projects, they can, start with a bang.
For sure. Make sure you guys go to the page tonight and save it and give it a follow, and you'll get notified tomorrow as soon as it launches. And go check it out for yourself. This looks pretty cool. So
thank you.
It should garner some attention, because you've got the anthology book, which the Kickstarter is for, but then you've got a trade paperback they can add on. You've got a double-sized horror comic they can add on, and there's more in the works for both those other books as well. So this is a good jumping on point for all the stuff you have going on right now.
Yeah. And again, this book is finished. All I'm trying to raise money for is to print it. So if the campaign is successful, I don't even wait to get the money from Kickstarter. As long as Kickstarter gets the money, there's like a 2-week period. After the campaign ends, then Kickstarter has to wait until they collect the money. Once I see that they've collected the money, I send the book to the printer and it will be printed. Hopefully, they don't take so long to print it, and then you can get the book in like 3 or 4 weeks, maybe.
Yeah, that's good stuff. So I want to thank you for coming on and talking about all the stuff you've been working on, and we wish you the best of luck tomorrow. Hopefully, a lot of people will latch onto this and follow and support the Kickstarter.
Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate it, all your help, and letting me come on and talk to everybody, and cross the fingers. Hope it's successful.
Yeah, knock on plastic desks.
Knock on wood.
Yeah. And so hopefully this will be good. We'll keep sharing it out, and I'll send you an email tomorrow with some people that you should look up and contact to get any information from. I'll link you up with Danny over at the Collective in Florida. They're a huge indie comic supporter, and a couple other people that are just good to go to for advice and more podcasts to get on, because the more eyes you get in front of, the better the project will do.
Yeah, like I said, I need all the help I can get, so everything is appreciated.
Yeah, this episode is going to be downloaded, and then the audio will be uploaded to my podcast platform, and I will tag you in the in that, and then tomorrow it should be up. You can download the podcast from anywhere you get podcasts from. I get mine from Spotify, so I share out the Spotify link like the day after.
Yeah. Okay.
So we'll be sharing this the next couple of days, and hopefully it gets off to a good bang. And we'll be talking to you very soon. Thanks for coming out. And
all right, thank you very much.
We'll see you next time on Creators Outlet.
See ya.